Stanley, I need your help. Most of my customers fear free motion quilting. Could you give me the answer of how I can help them? How about if I turn you into a genie and rub your... What? Let me rub you one more time. Oh, I tell them all about what? The free motion quilting accessories, the table, the feet. Tell me some more. Oh my goodness, yes, let's do a video on what accessories, what feet, what else? Guides, all that stuff, so that they don't fear free motion quilting anymore.
I am extremely excited to announce we are launching a 4-part series. In this 4-part series, we're going to be breaking it down into 4 different parts. In part 1, we're going to be going over every accessory you can purchase for your Juki TL. And that's, of course, going to be all of the Juki authentic parts, with the exception of 3 aftermarket parts that we have designed and manufactured that we saw was needed for the Juki TL. In part 2, we're going to be going over all the parts categorized for just our garment sewers. So if you're a garment sewer and you're looking for what accessories you need, watch part 2, because that's going to be going over all those parts and kind of showing you what they're used for in garment sewing. So that's going to be super, super cool. In part 3, we're going to be talking about all the parts needed for our bag makers on the Juki TL. This is going to be a super cool video. We're going to get all the parts that we see fit for bag making, and we're going to go over each one and what they're used for in bag making, so you know what parts you'll need for your bag making experience with the TL. And finally, in part 4, we're going to be going over all of the Juki accessories for the TL for our quilters. So if you're a quilter and you're looking for accessories or what accessories you might be missing in your quilting experience, watch our part 4 of this video, and we're going to show you every accessory we find is needed for our TL.
Hello everyone, my name is Gigi and I am with Gigi's Fabric Shop, JukiJunkies.com, and Janome Junkies. In today's video, we are going to be discussing all the feet, accessories, guides, tables, everything that you need for free motion quilting and piecing on your TL machine. Let's get started. What's exciting about today is that this is the last video of our TL accessory series. So this is the last one. If you haven't watched all of them, I will have the link down below of the other 3. Alrighty guys, now let's talk about the different quilting feet for free motion quilting. The first one I want to talk to you about is the quilting foot 1/4 inch ruler foot. This is a foot that you're going to be used while working with rulers. It's a 1/4 inch, it's high shank, and it has a little dip on the front for you to view just a little bit better. It is adjustable. The second foot that I would like to talk to you is one of my favorite ones because I love echoing. Echoing means that you are going to be following your previous line when quilting, so you kind of want to repeat it. And it has 2 different markings. This is called your echo foot. What else could I tell you about it? It's adjustable. The next foot I want to talk to you about, let me bring it over here, is your 1/4 inch foot. There's 2 of these that are similar. I'm going to cover them both here in a minute, the 1/4 inch and the 1/5. This foot is kind of your all-around quilting foot. It's a 1/4 inch from the needle to the edge of the outside of your foot. It is not adjustable, and it is a hopping foot. The same thing, everything that I said about this foot is going to be the same with the 1/5. So it's hopping, not adjustable, but this time it's 1/5 of the distance from the needle to the edge of the foot. So these are all the quilting feet. If I had to pick one where, I would have to say echoing foot because I love echoing. I love to have those consistent lines, so that would be my top favorite. Another fun way for you to quilt with your Juki TL machine is to use rulers. This is a template that allows you to guide you as you are quilting. This is a wonderful, fun way for you to quilt. Juki actually has this little mini set, but it has been discontinued and I only have one. But I wanted to show it to you. This is what they look like, and it gives you all these different designs. But I wanted to show you so that you would know that you would need a high shank ruler. We're looking for a ruler for your sewing machine. The next thing I wanted to talk to you about is quilters paddles. Juki produces these. These are wonderful because it allows you to hold down your quilt while you are quilting. So basically, you're placing your hands across the top of each of the paddles to keep things from slipping. So it's kind of like putting little stoppers on it. I use these all the time. In addition to this, I use the quilter's rings. Let me show you. These come in 8 and 11 inch. It has an opening for you. It's just another way of holding down that quilt so it doesn't slip, but it has this opening for you to slide under your foot, and while you're holding it, it keeps the area flat so that your quilt doesn't move. A wonderful option also for stitch in the ditch. Kind of keeps things controlled. One of the things that I always tell my students when quilting is don't look at the quilt as one big piece that you need to quilt. Look at it in small areas, such as like the 8 inch or the larger one, because it allows you to quilt and not be overwhelmed with this large quilt. So anyways, these are just tools that help you with quilting. Do you need all of them? No, you don't. It's all about what your preference is. Don't forget to visit us on JukiJunkies.com for any of these accessories. We are a family-owned business here in Brandon, Florida. Let's talk about the thick throat plate and why you need it. It's not a foot. So why do I need it to free motion quilt? You must be asking yourself. The reason you need this plate is because it offers you a larger space in that needle hole when your needle comes down. So think about when you're moving your quilt, there's something called needle flex. So your needle flexes. So it allows you a larger clearance for that needle not to break while you're free motion quilting. So this is a must-have when you're quilting. All right, so now we're going to talk about the open toe feet that are available for your machine. There's two. There's the side open toe and the front open toe, and I'll tell you why one of them works perfect when your machine is on our free motion quilting table or a frame that the machine is at a vertical position. So let's start with let's see, which one should we start with? I think we should start with the side open toe. And the side open toe is cut on the left hand side and it hops. It's not adjustable, but what's nice about this foot is that you can precisely quilt because it has a great view. So let me show you. Whoops. See that? It has a great view. There's nothing in the way that keeps you from seeing all your stitching. So this is one of my favorite ones. But this one, since it's a side open, you want to use this one when you're using any type of frame. So like if you're using this free motion quilting table and your machine is here, then it's definitely going to have that view towards your tummy. So that's what you want to get. Or if you're using one of the bigger frames, this is the foot that you want to get. Now let's move on to the quilting foot that is a front open toe. Same concept, but this one is when your machine is facing the normal way that you would have it when you don't have a frame. So that's the difference between both of them. Now, let's dive into this beautiful table. All right, let's talk about the free motion quilting table that is available for this TL model. I remember when I started quilting, how I actually learned how to quilt on this table. And the reason I jumped onto this table so quickly was because I was using my regular table and I was like, wait a second, my quilt is being dragged. I need a larger space. So I grabbed this one and it made a huge difference. What it does is it allows you to spread that quilt across the top, kind of giving you that long arm table that is budget friendly, that's easier to use without having to spend so much money on that long arm. Or what about if you have a small space and you can't have a long arm? This is the perfect option for that. Now don't forget that you have to use your side open toe when using this table so that you have great visibility with that toe open to you. Now, I know I'm on the back of the machine, so when you're using this machine, you definitely want to be sitting in front of it, so your tummy would be facing this way. Great option to free motion quilt on a budget with this beauty. Now let's dive into all the opportunities of getting that perfect 1/4 inch or that scant 1/4 inch when it comes to piecing on your quilt. The first one that we're going to talk about is your standard presser foot that comes with your TL machine. This is a scant 1/4 inch. This is kind of that universal foot that is just for about everything. So that's number one. Number two, we're going to talk about an accurate 1/4 inch. That is going to be your regular hinged foot. This is a great foot when you're using thin to thick materials because it has that hinged spring on the back. Next is the 1/4 inch presser foot with a guide. This is an accurate 1/4 inch. This is going to be for thin to medium fabrics. You definitely don't want to be using thick fabrics because that little bar that goes across the side, the guide, it might get in the way. So you definitely want to use it for piecing or patchwork, and it's a preference kind of foot. Do you want a guide or do you not want a guide? All right, let's talk about one of the most popular feet that we sell here at JukiJunkies.com. It is the 1/4 inch compensating foot. What makes this foot so extra special is not only is it good for piecing medium to thick fabric because of that chunky guide that has a spring on the side, but it's also our favorite foot to attach the back of your binding to your quilt. So highly recommended. It's an accurate 1/4 inch foot. Remember, it has that heavy spring that's only going to work with medium to thick fabric. I don't suggest that you use it with your thin fabric. All right, let's talk about the left compensating foot and the right compensating foot. Super popular feet on JukiJunkies.com. I can't even tell you how many times we sell these. What makes these so good is that they allow you to tuck your fabric to the side. So it kind of keeps things snuggled, and that's what makes them so popular. They are great for light to heavy fabric, and they're also very popular for binding, adding zippers, top stitching, cover stitching, all that. And what I wanted also to show you was, I forgot, see, it came to me. It has a very heavy spring, so it does some good movement as you're sewing those thick and medium-sized fabrics. Now, I want to make sure that I cover everything with these feet because I get so many questions on this one. And what is the left and what is the right and da-da-da-da. And so I want to make sure that I tell you exactly what they do. So I'm going to read my cheat sheets over here. All right. I know I talked about that very first one and the second one, so I don't need to do that. But on the left foot, this is a 1.5 millimeter. It means that the guided foot is to the left and it sews to the right. Okay? And then the right 1.5 millimeter, it means the guided foot is to the right. So the guide is to the right and it sews to the left. Now let's talk about binding. Do I need the left one? Do I need the right one? How many times do I get that question asked? Guess what? I think you need both, or I know you need both, and I'll tell you why. If you like to sew your binding to the back of the quilt and then you want to flip it to the front, you will need the left foot. But we know that the quilt has another side, so guess what? You're going to need the right one also. So if you want to sew your binding to the front and then flip to the back, then you will need the right. So it just kind of depends on the preference. So why not have both options when you can have both of them and you could choose whichever one you need when it comes to binding your quilt? Did you know that we have a Juki TL accessory book? I mean, everything that your TL can use is right in here in this book. And the best part about it is not only do you have the title of each item, it actually has the part number, why you need it, what is it used for, and the bonus part is the coupon inside the book. It also has a note section, a conversions chart, and just about everything that you need when it comes to knowing what accessories you need for your TL. So it's a great way also to check off, like, hey, I got it. So there's a little box here, you check it off, I got it. And then you could work on keeping track of all the TL accessories that you need or that you might want in the future. So grab this on our website. The link is on the bottom. It is a printable PDF. All right, now let's talk about when you are wanting your own binding. What do you use? Do you want it to be super easy when binding those pot holders, anything with like a curve or a quilt, anything that has curves, this is an amazing tool. You know, like when you go to the store and you buy that double bias binding that's all ready to go, this is what this tool is going to do. So I'm going to break it down for you. We have this one, we have the leveling plate, and we also have the tape guide binder. All these three go together and they are amazing. So let's talk about what you need here. The double fold bias binder comes with a foot that is dedicated to this tool. So you definitely need to attach this foot when using it. It comes in 3 different sizes. It comes in 32 millimeter, 38, and 50 millimeter. Our most popular size is going to be the 38 millimeter. Look at this binding. It is literally perfect. I remember when someone called and said, I don't know how to use it. Can you do a video? And Kristen went and created this video that was phenomenal, and it was just perfect. And our customers started using it literally that same day. Now, let's talk about the leveling plate, okay? I'm going to read what we wrote because I can't remember all that, but this leveling plate is used for ensuring a smooth swing for the binder or the hammer foot. There's a slight difference in height between the throat plate and the bed surface. So with this plate, you're going to eliminate that issue. It's going to all level it down. It's going to reduce the damage also to the body of your machine. So definitely you need to grab this plate because it'll level it all out and it'll protect your machine. Okay, now the third thing that we're going to talk about is the tape guide for the binder. Now let's talk about the tape guide for the binder. I'm going to read this information because it's definitely much easier than if I try to do it. This tape guide for binder helps feed the tape smoothly when a binder or other attachments such as the tape binder or double fold bias binder. This helps this tape stay untangled and getting all twisted. So grab this one too. So this is definitely a great little set for you to create your own double folded bias binding that is homemade with your own fabric. All right, now we're going to talk about gauges. The way I look at seam gauges is it's kind of like the bells and whistles that you don't know that you need, and once you start using them, you're like, this made life a little bit easier. So let's talk about the magnetic gauge, the T gauge, and the swing gauge. The simplest one is going to be that universal magnetic gauge. It looks just like this. It's easy to adjust and reposition. It has some good weight to it. Great one to use for just about anything. Then we have the T gauge. I didn't take it out of the bag, but you can kind of see it there. It comes with 2 screws, and this one is adjustable to your desired seam allowance. What's nice about the T gauge is that it's a long guide. So if you are sewing seams that are long, you know, you've got that curtain that just keeps going and going, things like that. I love that long seam gauge. The third one is going to be your swing gauge. Now, there's 2 components here to think about, okay? You have a adjustable, let me think, okay. So you have this adjustable gauge. You've got a bottom one and a top one. One has a longer guide and one has a shorter. What's nice about this one is that if you're working with a project that has 2 seam allowances that you're working with, you can set one for the longer seam guide or seam allowance and one for the short one. So the top one is adjustable, but your bottom one is going to stay in place. Also, this is nice when working with curves because it's adjustable and you can kind of swing it out a little bit as you're turning. It's just another great seam gauge to have around. And what I like about it, it gives me 2 options instead of 1. So if I had to choose between all 3 of them, I think I would choose this one. But then again, it all has to do with your project. Alrighty, so we've discussed lots of feet and accessories, and now we're going to dive into those of you that like to do free motion quilting, not so freely, so more of straight lines, just a little more modern vibe maybe. So we're going to dive into straight lines, walking foot, in the ditch kind of foot, and this is what I've put together for you guys. I know that I've discussed the thick throat plate already, but I wanted to let you know that whenever I use these accessories, I always use the thick throat plate. So I just want to bring that to your attention, because needle flexion while using the walking foot or any type of free motion quilting or quilting with straight lines, that needle is going to flex. So we want to make sure that you don't break your needle or put a burr on your needle plate. So grab that thick throat plate. Now let's talk about the in the ditch foot. The in the ditch foot has a center metal guide that goes along the center. So if you want to put that inside your seam, you're going to have that guide that's going to go right along the center. And you can quilt your quilt beautifully by just using this, and you don't have to get all swirly or twirly with like the other previous quilting feet that I was talking about. The next one is called the even feed foot. This is also AKA the walking foot. This is a great foot because what it does is it has feed dogs on the top that are going to work with your feed dogs on the bottom. So if you have fabric that is thicker, it's going to move on you, this works fantastic. Not only is this a great straight line quilting foot, it's also great for using with knits and stretchy fabrics. So don't forget also, when installing this, you really want to watch the video with the directions on how to install this so that you do it correctly. Another tip is there's a little maintenance to do with this foot, and we'll drop a link down below with that. Now, this right here is an attachment that is totally optional if you want to have a guide. This is called the Quilting Guide Even Feed Foot. And what this does is you actually attach it to your walking foot. So if you have straight lines and you want to follow the previous straight line, the guide will help you to keep those lines consistently straight. All right? Wow, that was quick. We covered all of those, and there you go. All right, so now we're going to discuss some, I would say, must-haves, don't need, but certainly make life easier while free motion quilting, because something that I love to do is set up my environment to be a comfortable environment to work with. So we're going to start with lighting. Lighting is so important, especially when you get to a certain age. So these LED lights produced by Juki Junkies are a great addition to any TL machine, or really any sewing machine that you would like to add it to. And they are dimmable. So this is something very nice to add. That's one. Number two, here is a 5-foot extension cord that you can add to your pedal. So if you're playing the tippy toe game, trying to catch that pedal and it's too far, this is what you need. And I will tell you that if you are purchasing the Free Motion Clear quilting table, this is a must-have because it definitely is going to stretch that, elongate that cord so that you're not playing the tippy toe game. All right. Another reason I use it too, sometimes I like to sew on a countertop when I'm multitasking, like painting. As you can see, I have painted nails because I was painting last night. But when you put it on the countertop, your sewing machine, this is a great cord to have. Now, tools. These are really cute blue tools directly from Juki, and when you are bringing up your thread while free motion quilting, you definitely have to have tweezers, great scissors, curved scissors, and of course, a seam ripper if things go down the wrong way. And look at these, aren't they beautiful? In case you didn't know, blue is my favorite color. The final thing, not so important, but maybe it is to you, this disables your cutter on your foot pedal. So if you add this gadget right here, which I'm totally forgetting the name of it, but this is the stopper for your cutter. You put it on the bottom, and you know when you go forward and you go forward with your foot pedal and then back, it's gonna cut, this disables it. They're not glasses, okay? And Kylie will put what this is actually called because I'm having a brain blank, but it's some type of stopper. Well, we are almost to the end of our video, and if you're wondering, well, wait a second, I want to take my free motion quilting to a whole different level, and I want to be spoiled. Are you looking for something like, stitch regulation? This is what this is. This is the Grace Company has put out the Store Stitch Elite Regulator, and it attaches to a frame. So let's talk about you want to free motion quilt at home, but in kind of with that long arm vibe without the expense of a true big long arm. So you're going to need a frame to use this right here. So we have two options. We have the Juki tabletop fabric frame that's right here, and we also have the Grace Cutie Breeze frame, and that's right here. And the difference between both of those is going to be where the handles are. I'm not going to go into full details with them, but those are the frames that you would attach to this little gadget right here that is going to control your stitch length and your speed control all at once so that your stitches are always even, whether you're going a little faster, a little bit slower. So what that does is it allows you to do your quilting without you having to think of am I going too fast? Am I going too slow? It just does all the regulation for you. And the best part about that is that you are placing your quilt on a frame, so you're moving the handlebars versus that quilt. So if you have shoulders like me that are a little on the weak side, okay, or maybe you have carpal tunnel, this is a great tool to have without, again, having to buy a frame, a big long arm frame, and just attaching the TL machine to this quilt frame, whether it's the Juki one or the new Breeze one. Make sure you grab the stitch regulator. This doesn't work with your machine alone. You do have to attach it to a frame. So we are to the end of our video. If you still around here, hey, kudos to you for listening to us for so long today. Don't forget that you could grab the Juki TL accessory book. This is a great way to check off all the accessories and keep track of it. I hope free motion quilting and straight line walking foot type of quilting and your piecing is going to go a little bit easier based on all these tips that we have given you and giving you all these tools that will make your quilting and piecing easier. Don't forget to visit our website, JukiJunkies.com. We are a family-based business here in Brandon, Florida. It was so nice to hang out with you today. Bye-bye.